What if I told you that one of the most influential novels ever written started as a simple story about a boy who dared to dream beyond his circumstances? Today, we're diving deep into Charles Dickens's masterpiece, Great Expectations, a book that has shaped literature for over 160 years and continues to resonate with readers worldwide. This isn't just another dusty classic sitting on your shelf gathering dust. This is a psychological thriller wrapped in a coming-of-age story that will make you question everything you think you know about success, love, and what it truly means to be happy. As someone who has analysed thousands of books throughout my career as a professional book editor, I can tell you that Great Expectations stands apart from the crowd. This novel doesn't just tell a story, it dissects the human condition with surgical precision. Dickens created a work that simultaneously entertains and educates, thrills and transforms. Whether you're a literature student, a business professional, or simply someone who loves a compelling story, this book offers insights that will change how you view ambition, relationships, and personal growth. We're going to explore this literary giant through 5 comprehensive sections that will give you everything you need to understand why Great Expectations remains relevant today. From its historical context to its life-changing lessons, you'll discover why this novel continues to influence writers, thinkers, and dreamers across generations. Get ready to uncover the secrets that have made this book a timeless masterpiece. Great Expectations emerged during one of the most transformative periods in British history. Published in 1861, this novel captured the essence of Victorian England during the Industrial Revolution, when social mobility seemed possible, but remained frustratingly elusive for most people. Dickens wrote this work during his most productive period, drawing from his own experiences of poverty, ambition, and social climbing, to create a story that felt both personal and universal. The novel originally appeared as a weekly serial in Dickens's literary magazine All the Year Round, which influenced its structure and pacing. Each instalment had to end with enough intrigue to keep readers coming back, resulting in a narrative that builds tension masterfully throughout its progression. This serialization format forced Dickens to maintain constant momentum, creating a work that never loses steam despite its considerable length. What makes Great Expectations revolutionary is its psychological depth. Unlike many novels of its era that focused primarily on external events, Dickens delved into the internal landscape of his protagonist. The story is narrated by Pip as an adult, looking back on his youth, creating layers of perspective that add complexity to every scene. This retrospective narration allows readers to witness both the naive hopes of young Pip and the hard-won wisdom of his older self. The novel's exploration of class consciousness struck a chord with Victorian readers who were witnessing unprecedented social change. The rigid class system was beginning to crack, but the psychological barriers remained formidable. Dickens understood that true transformation required more than external circumstances changing. It demanded internal growth and self-awareness. This insight makes the novel as relevant today as it was when first published. As modern readers continue to grapple with questions of identity, success, and authenticity in our own rapidly changing world. The story follows a Philip Pirrip, known as Pip, an orphan living with his sister and her husband, Joe Gargery, in the Kent marshes. Pip's life changes dramatically when he encounters an escaped convict in a graveyard, setting in motion a chain of events that will shape his entire future. This early encounter with Magwitch, though terrifying, reveals Pip's natural compassion and moral instincts. Pip's world expands when he's invited to Sattie's house, the decaying mansion of the wealthy but bitter Miss Havisham. There he meets Estella, Miss Havisham's beautiful but cold adopted daughter, who immediately captivates him while simultaneously making him painfully aware of his humble origins. These visits awaken in Pip a desperate desire to become a gentleman, believing that only through elevated social status can he win Estella's love. The narrative takes a dramatic turn when Pip learns he has a mysterious benefactor who will provide him with a fortune to become a gentleman. Assuming Miss Havisham is his patron and that he's destined to marry Estella, Pip moves to London to begin his transformation. He acquires education, refined manners, and expensive tastes, but gradually loses touch with his authentic self and the people who truly care about him. As Pip navigates London society, he becomes increasingly arrogant and ashamed of his humble background. His relationship with Jo deteriorates as he views his former father figure as an embarrassment. The novel builds to a shocking revelation when Pip discovers that his benefactor is actually Magwitch, the convict he helped years earlier. This discovery shatters all of Pip's assumptions about his destiny and forces him to confront the reality of his situation. The climax involves Magwitch's capture and death, Pip's financial ruin, and his gradual journey toward redemption. Through suffering and loss, Pip learns to value genuine relationships over social status, hard work over inherited wealth, and inner worth over external appearances. The first pivotal event occurs in the graveyard, where young Pip encounters the escaped convict Magwitch. This terrifying meeting establishes the novel's central theme of how past actions create lasting consequences. Pip's decision to help the convict by stealing food from his sister's pantry reveals his inherent goodness, but also introduces the guilt that will haunt him throughout the story. The convict's eventual capture and transportation seem to close this chapter, but Dickens plants seeds that will bloom into the novel's most shocking revelation. The second major event involves Pip's introduction to Satis House and his encounters with Miss Havisham and Estella. Miss Havisham, frozen in time since being abandoned at the altar, represents the destructive power of living in the past. Her mansion, with its stopped clocks and decaying wedding feast, creates an atmosphere of gothic horror that profoundly impacts Pip's psyche. Estella's beauty and cruelty awaken both love and self-loathing in Pip, making him acutely aware of his social inferiority and sparking his desire for transformation. The third crucial development is Pip's apprenticeship to Joe Gargery, the local blacksmith. This period should represent security and honest work, but Pip's experiences at Satis House have poisoned his ability to appreciate his circumstances. He begins to view Joe's simple nature and humble profession as shameful, creating internal conflict between his natural affection for Joe and his newfound social ambitions. This tension illustrates how exposure to wealth and status can corrupt even the most innocent hearts. The fourth major event is the arrival of Mr. Jaggers, the lawyer who informs Pip of his mysterious inheritance. This moment transforms Pip's life completely, elevating him from a country blacksmith's apprentice to a gentleman of leisure. The news seems to confirm his belief that Miss Havisham is his benefactor and that he's destined to marry Estella. However, Dickens carefully crafts this scene to show how assumptions can lead to devastating disappointment. The fifth significant event is Pip's life in London, where he learns to live as a gentleman under the guidance of Herbert Pocket. This section reveals the emptiness of pursuing status without purpose. Pip accumulates debt, develops expensive tastes, and becomes increasingly disconnected from his authentic self. His transformation into a gentleman is superficial, lacking the moral foundation that true nobility requires. The sixth major event is Pip's gradual estrangement from Joe in his working-class origins. When Joe visits London, Pip's embarrassment and condescension toward his former father figure represent the moral nadir of his character arc. This betrayal of the person who loved him most demonstrates how the pursuit of social status can corrupt fundamental human relationships. The seventh crucial development is the shocking revelation that Magwitch, the convict from the graveyard, is actually Pip's benefactor. This discovery demolishes all of Pip's assumptions about his destiny and forces him to confront the reality that his fortune comes not from genteel society, but from criminal activity. The revelation that Estella is Magwitch's daughter adds another layer of irony to the situation. The eighth and final major event is Pip's journey toward redemption, following Magwitch's death and his own financial ruin. Stripped of his artificial advantages, Pip must rediscover his authentic self and rebuild his relationships on honest foundations. His reconciliation with Joe and his eventual success through hard work rather than inheritance represents the novel's ultimate message about the source of true worth. The first crucial lesson from Great Expectations is that external circumstances cannot create internal fulfillment. Pip's journey from poverty to wealth to poverty again demonstrates that happiness depends on inner qualities rather than social status or material possessions. When Pip gains his fortune, he becomes more miserable than when he was poor, illustrating that pursuing status for its own sake leads to emptiness rather than satisfaction. The second vital insight concerns the importance of staying connected to your authentic self. Pip's transformation into a gentleman involves abandoning his natural character and adopting artificial mannerisms and values. This process alienates him from genuine relationships and creates a hollow existence. The novel suggests that true growth involves developing your inherent qualities rather than adopting external personas. The third essential teaching focuses on the value of honest work and earned success. Joe Gargery represents the dignity of labour and the satisfaction that comes from contributing meaningfully to society. Pip's inherited wealth brings no sense of accomplishment, while his eventual success through hard work provides genuine fulfillment. This lesson remains particularly relevant in our modern culture that often glorifies unearned wealth and instant gratification. The fourth important lesson addresses the destructive nature of living in the past. Miss Havisham's inability to move beyond her betrayal creates a prison of bitterness. that ultimately destroys her and harms those around her. Her character demonstrates how refusing to process painful experiences and move forward prevents healing and growth. The novel suggests that while we cannot change the past, we can choose how it influences our future. The fifth significant insight explores the complexity of human nature and the possibility of redemption. Magwitch, initially presented as a terrifying criminal, reveals himself to be capable of loyalty, sacrifice, and love. His transformation challenges readers to look beyond surface appearances and consider the circumstances that shape human behaviour. This lesson encourages empathy and understanding rather than quick judgment. The sixth crucial takeaway concerns the importance of genuine relationships over social connections. Pip's pursuit of fashionable society leads to superficial relationships that disappear when his circumstances change. In contrast, his bonds with Jo and Herbert, based on mutual affection and respect, provide lasting support and meaning. The novel demonstrates that authentic connections are more valuable than impressive social networks. The seventh essential lesson addresses the dangers of unchecked ambition. Pip's desire to become a gentleman begins innocently, but gradually consumes his judgment and moral compass. His story illustrates how ambition, without ethical grounding, can lead to the very destruction of what we hope to achieve. Success pursued at the expense of integrity and relationships ultimately proves hollow. The eighth vital insight explores the theme of expectations versus reality. The novel's title reflects how our assumptions about the future often prove incorrect. Pip's great expectations about his destiny bear no resemblance to his actual experience, suggesting that life rarely unfolds according to our plans. This lesson encourages flexibility and acceptance while maintaining hope and determination. The ninth important teaching focuses on the power of forgiveness and second chances. Despite Pip's treatment of Jo and his mistakes throughout the novel, he ultimately finds redemption through acknowledging his errors and making amends. The story suggests that personal growth requires both self-forgiveness and the courage to seek forgiveness from others. The 10th crucial lesson emphasizes that true gentility comes from character rather than circumstances. Jo Gargery, despite his humble origins and simple manner, demonstrates more genuine nobility than many of the novel's upper-class characters. His kindness, loyalty, and integrity reveal that being a gentleman has nothing to do with social status and everything to do with moral character. Great Expectations endures as a masterpiece because it addresses universal human experiences that transcend historical periods. Dickens created a work that functions simultaneously as entertainment and education, providing readers with both a compelling story and profound insight into human nature. The novel's exploration of ambition, identity, and moral growth remains as relevant today as it was in Victorian England. The book's psychological depth sets it apart from many novels of its era and continues to influence modern literature. Dickens's decision to narrate the story from Pip's adult perspective creates layers of meaning that reward multiple readings. Each encounter with the text reveals new nuances and connections that deepen our understanding of the characters and themes. Perhaps most importantly, Great Expectations offers hope for personal transformation and redemption. Despite Pip's mistakes and moral failures, the novel demonstrates that it's never too late to change course and rebuild your life on firmer foundations. This message of second chances and the possibility of growth through adversity continues to resonate with readers facing their own challenges and disappointments. The novel's enduring popularity proves that great literature transcends its historical context to speak to eternal human concerns. Whether you're grappling with questions of success, struggling with relationships, or simply trying to understand your place in the world, Great Expectations offers wisdom and perspective that can guide and inspire. Dickens created more than just a story. He crafted a roadmap for navigating the complexities of human existence with dignity, compassion, and hope.